Welcome into the Fantasy Guides podcast. My name is Andrew Teuscher, and I am joined today by the owner, the operator of Fantasy Guides and FantasyGuides.com, Stephen Rippey, as well as the freak in the spreadsheets. AJ Cleaver is finally back with us after he just decided to abandon us high and dry, doing something important. He got married. Congratulations, AJ.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, we missed you, man.
Steven specifically.
Definitely.
Because he missed your presence, not the spreadsheetness.
No, that definitely missed you for that, but also your fun little stats. I hope we have a couple tonight. Although I did notice, I think last week you did text me either during or before the podcast the distance between Seattle and where was it? Who they play last week?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. I saw it afterwards. I was like, oh, love you, man.
He's always out here grinding, doing what we need him to do. And, well, we've got more fun stats for you, but we've also got every single matchup you need to know about, except for the Thursday Night Football game, because that's happening right now. Every matchup for Week 8 coming at you. Every start-sit decision, every must-start, every sleeper you need. We'll go over it this time. If you keep liking it, if you keep coming back, please like, subscribe, go get you a fantasy guide. We got you hooked up this season. And, AJ, hook us up with the first matchup that we're going to go over.
All righty, sounds good. And buckle up, gents, because we've got no buys this week. So we've got a long podcast in front of us.
You stretch my neck out a little bit.
We've got the Eagles taking on the Bengals. The Bengals are favored by 3. Over under is 48.5. And I was doing some reading on Jalen Hurts about the first $1 million that he spent after he got his big rookie contract. And the first thing that he went out and bought after getting that big contract was a Philly cheesesteak.
I thought you were going to say his mama house, which I think he did, but that's iconic, a Philly cheesesteak.
You can't count that though. That's just that's on my way to get something cool with my new contract. You're just hungry at that time. I don't think we count that. I'm not
pandering. I count it. Absolutely counts. Good for you, Jalen Hurts.
Well, Andrew, I got to ask, is Goddard out?
I believe so. I
was just noticing. Yeah, he's not practicing Thursday, so we won't talk about him. Not that I would lead off with Dallas Goedert anyway, but
well, you did.
I just remembered I did not have him listed in the guide, so I had to double check. Eagles, start your Eagles this week. I'm starting Hurts, Brown, Barkley, and Smith. Not like you had to question Hurts, Brown, or Barkley, but I would start Smith as well. I think this game, maybe not it doesn't have the biggest over-under on the week, but I think it'll be a decent shootout. I really like Jalen Hurts in this one. Only reason he's not ranked first, because it is a good matchup, is because Lamar Jackson still plays football in the NFL. So I got him number 1, Hurts 2. AJ Brown, he hasn't played that many games, but he's played 3 and been amazing in all of them. So I've actually got him ranked as my wide receiver 2 this week. No reason to think he shouldn't go off and maybe show Jamar Chase that, he could be the best wide receiver in football when healthy. So we'll see. And then, Barkley. All these guys, start your Eagles. What about you, Andrew? Anything to add?
Nah, the Eagles are the easiest every single week.
I know.
There's a bunch of studs, and they give them the ball a lot, and I'm a big fan of it. And Saquon Barkley should specifically have a great day in this one. The Bengals are just bad at stopping the run, although they've been better of late. Yeah, it's start everyone. Hopefully the Eagles win, get the good game script going for Mr. Barkley.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing for Cincinnati. Now, the Eagles have been actually pretty good against quarterbacks. Now they have faced Daniel Jones, and that'll always inflate those kind of numbers.
Well, they also had to face Deshaun Watson.
Fair point. Yeah, so I don't right now they're giving up the 10th fewest fantasy points to the position. It doesn't scare me off of Joe Burrow, especially the game is at home. Yeah, I'm still starting Burrow. He's my QB6 this week. Obviously Chase and Higgins, but this is a good defensive line, Andrew. So are you? I don't think you're starting Zach Moss, but you're starting Chase Brown.
I am willing to start Chase Brown. He's been getting the work you need to see, and he's just explosive. The exciting thing about Chase Brown is if he gets the ball 15 times, that's a good amount of touches. That's not bell cow stuff, but he's good enough to actually do something with those.
Yeah.
Where Zach Moss, he rolled out of the grave, somehow emerged back into our lives, but he's just so inefficient. I'm willing to start Brown, but I'm not. I don't love it. I'm sitting them if I can.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got him as RB23, so I think he's definitely startable. Maybe in a 10-team league, maybe not quite as much. Definitely in a 12-team league, I think he's startable. I'm not starting Mike Gesicki. Uh, Ever since Higgins been back, he's been irrelevant, and this is Eagles. That's one thing they have been stopping. They are ranked dead last as far as opponents you want to face for tight ends.
This one feels pretty cut and dry. Steven, who do you think wins this ball game?
I think the Eagles because they're better on both sides of the ball. So I would bet on the Eagles winning this game. But yeah, I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I'm hoping it gets into a shootout. I'm hoping that both these teams are the most frustrating where the offense can just retract into a hole and actually be terrible for no reason in any given week. I'm hoping we don't get that. I'm hoping it stays a good game. But that one's pretty cut and dry.
I just noticed that the Cincinnati's actually favored by 2.5, which surprises me a little bit.
They called it a coin flip, and they got home field advantage.
Yeah, but 2.5's not quite a coin flip, so that just surprised me a little bit.
Yeah. All right, AJ, move us on to the next one. That one's pretty easy.
Alrighty, we have the Ravens-Browns. Ravens are favored by 8.5. Over/under is 44.5. And the Browns, they haven't scored 20 points yet this season in a single game. And just for reference, every other team has done that along with this past baseball season. The Dodgers, Rockies, and A's all scored at least 20 runs in one game.
I saw that stat. Where did you see that one again?
It was somewhere on Twitter. It was like a meme that it was like all the 31 teams clumped together, like, haha, of course, it's week 7 and we've scored 20 points in a game. And then it was just the Browns sitting over in left field.
Yeah, that's funny.
Steven, are you willing to eat that and start Jameis Winston? Can we do it? Can we Can we have fun?
I'm not going to do it.
I
think in like a... So the matchup on paper looks amazing.
It's phenomenal.
The Ravens give up the third most fantasy points to the position, most completions, most passing yards, third most passing touchdowns. The problem is if Jameis Winston had Amari Cooper still on the roster, I feel like I would be like, yes, let's go all in on Jameis Winston. The problem is I do like David Njoku, but his top receivers, Cedric Tillman, who I think, there's reason to get excited about him, maybe Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy. I'm just not that scared of the weapons there. So that's the only thing that holds me back a little bit. When I was ranking, I was trying to push him up because the matchup was so good and Jameis can be Jameis and it's fun. But the Ravens, even though they're not doing that great this year, I think they could shut down a quarterback like Jameis Winston.
Here's the beauty of it. The Cleveland Browns are going to be behind unless some crazy defensive scoring happens on the sake of the Browns. So we're going to get full-fledged Jameis hucking the ball downfield to absolutely no one. So, Steven, don't look at your ranks. Give me gut reaction. Jameis Winston or Anthony Richardson?
They play the Texans.
Uh-huh.
I'm still going to go Richardson.
Jameis Winston or Aaron Rodgers against the Patriots?
I would go Aaron Rodgers.
Let me get filthier. Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson against the Giants?
I'll go Wilson.
Jameis Winston or Drake May against the Jets?
You might get me to pull a Jameis on that one. I might go Jameis just because of the matchup. Although the Jets were bad last week, I don't think they'll be bad against a rookie. Yeah, I'd probably go Jameis there.
Last one. Jameis Winston or your boy Daniel Jones playing the Steelers?
I'll probably go Jameis as well.
Jameis Winston wants us to have fun, dang it.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it if I'm absolutely desperate and just want to sit back and have a good time on Sunday. Otherwise, he hasn't played football in a long time, guys. It's been bad. Now, David Njoku, though, I'll get behind.
Obviously, he's my tight end 3. I was doing the buy-sell post yesterday, put that out there. I said David Njoku has a chance to be the number 1 tight end remainder of the season, and then I wrote, checks notes, because he has the second easiest schedule moving forward. I said, checks notes, Brock Bowers has the easiest schedule moving forward, and he's Brock Bowers. So I think David Njoku has a real shot, if Jameis is the quarterback remainder of the season, to finish second behind Brock Bowers the rest of the season. I wouldn't be shocked if he does that. Definitely start him this week. He's my tight end 3.
All right. We cannot start Nick Chubb, right?
No,
that's not
I'm
an
not.
option.
I'm not doing it. I love seeing him get that touchdown last week, but I have him as my RB33. So use that for whatever it's worth. They're easing him back. Like, he did not get a ton of use. They did give him the stuff near the end zone. I think they wanted him to score, but I think they're limiting what he can do.
I agree.
And the matchup's not great.
You can start Jerry Jeudy if you really want to and just hope he catches a deep ball. Cedric Tillman, that's a deep pull. If you are in some crazy 14-team league and a guy gets hurt last second and you need someone on waivers, although Tillman's probably down on waivers in that league, Tillman's a last second start too.
Yeah. I do want to talk about Baltimore real quick though, Andrew.
Tell me about it.
For the listeners, I was playing the number 2 ranked team in our dynasty league, and I put out a message in our league. Anyone that's got a player going tonight that wants to make a trade, let me know. Andrew sent me a trade. What was it, Andrew? Like a second for Bateman, something like that?
It was like Rashad Bateman and a fourth for your second. Yes.
Yeah. That's what it was, which wasn't terrible, but I was like, I don't really need wide receiver too much in that league. I'm loaded there. But I looked at the guy I was playing, and we were basically tied. But then I look, he's got Derrick Henry going. He's got Mike Evans going, and he had Zay Flowers going. I went, oh, forget it. It's not worth it. Like, well, I would have won because Bateman went off, scored 22 fantasy points. And I know Henry had the good game. I guess I was up by like 10 points or whatever it was. But Mike Evans got hurt, and then Flowers did nothing. So I just wanted to say, Andrew, that you ruined my night. Why'd you have to send that trade offer out? Because I had to watch it and know I could have won.
Yeah, next time think about that when I send you a bad trade. Maybe it's going to win you your week.
I know.
That being said, you want to start Rashad Bateman in this one?
No. I'm not gonna bank on that happening again. I mean, unless Zay Flowers, for some reason, he was a little gimpy with that ankle, was able to finish the game. If for some reason he couldn't go, then I would. But otherwise, this is pretty cut and dry too, Andrew. I think you start maybe not all your Ravens. Are you buying Mark Andrews? The usage wasn't much different than it's been, but he is the tight end 3 over the last 3 weeks.
I'm willing to start him because tight ends suck, but you're right. Nothing really changed. Same targets as a couple weeks ago. You can start him, but it's not a good thing. He's like Hunter Henry.
Yeah, and it's not a great matchup. Cleveland is good against tight ends. They give up the 4th fewest fantasy points. They give up the fewest receiving touchdowns. It's kind of what has been saving him is these touchdowns he's been getting. So he's my tight end 16. So I'm not just throwing him right back in as a tight end 1. If Zay Flowers, if he's good to go, I am starting him. Brown's giving up the 6th most fantasy points to the wide receiver position. And then, obviously, it's not your best matchup for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but whatever. They'll be fine. Like, this is a really bad matchup on paper, and I still have Derrick Henry. I had to move him down to RB4 this week.
Oh, man. Yeah. He's going to come find you, and he's going to run you over, Steven. He's going to stiff arm you into the ground for that.
He will.
He's hunting for you. AJ, get us on to the next one.
Alrighty, next we have the Titans-Lions. The Lions are favored by a whopping 12. Over-under is 44.5. And I got a little geography trivia for you, gentlemen. The game is in Detroit this weekend, and then after the game, the Titans will have to fly south. When they're flying out of Detroit, where's the first place they're going to be flying over?
Detroit.
They're flying south to where?
Back to Tennessee.
They're going to fly over Detroit because Cleveland. That's where they're flying
Cleveland.
From. Well, I guess I left it a little too broad, but they're going to be flying over Canada.
Okay. Ew. I don't have a globe pulled up.
Boo! Actually, we have Canadian listeners. I love you, Canada. Go Maple Leaf. Great syrup there.
They're the nicest. They're nicer than we are, Andrew.
Yeah, no, that's why I get to be a jerk to them. So, Fun thing, I wrote down the split for this game, the spread for this game last night. The line moved. It's getting bigger. It was -11 last night. They're daring us to take it. Steven, would you bet the Titans +12 in this?
Probably would. I don't see any scenario. It is if you just think like in a vacuum, but when you think it's the Titans in Detroit, like I see this being a 3-touchdown game. Like I know a lot of times these things are traps, but it's the Titans. It's in Detroit. Like how could this not be a blowout? They blew out the Cowboys.
That's how. Bet the Titans now. Money line. He said it. Steven, who are you willing to start in fantasy in this one?
Well, it's very easy with the Lions, although Sam Laporta, maybe not so much. I think Sam Laporta I got him as my tight end 12 because you have to place him somewhere, right, Andrew? You got to all right, well, all tight ends suck. You suck really bad. I'm just going to put you at tight end 12.
You have to play him. I
know. This isn't a great matchup on paper. But I don't really care. This is in Detroit. They're going to blow out the Titans. I think everybody does fine here. On the Tennessee side of the ball, though, I don't really want to start anybody. I'm scrolling to get to them, Andrew, as I stall.
I feel like you can start Calvin Ridley.
I do too. He's the
I don't
only
want
option.
to.
I've got him wide receiver 37. I think he could do better than that, honestly. Detroit giving up the second most fantasy points to the wide receiver position, most receptions, most receiving yards. They do play Justin Jefferson and company, though. They play some good receivers, but I think Ridley. I think he'll get all the targets. I think Tony Pollard's startable too. It's not a great matchup, but I mean, I got him RB20. Are you not starting Pollard?
He's never gotten below 60% of the snaps. He's never had below 60, or he's had one time below 60% of the rush attempts. He has a 14% target share. You can start Tony Pollard. It's just he's an RB3. It's a terrible, terrible matchup.
Yeah, the matchup's just bad. Detroit giving up the second fewest points to the position, the fewest touches to the position. I don't think that the Titans will sustain that many drives for very long. So it's a low ceiling, low floor for Pollard. I will say that, but I think in most leagues, if you have him, he's got to at least make a flex play.
Something to be noted for Laporta we should bring up. Jamison Williams is facing that suspension.
Yeah. Good point.
Who's the next receiver in
Yeah.
Detroit?
No, that's a very good point.
And it's going to be a tough time. They're going to put Snead probably on Amon-Ra as much as they can. And so maybe Laporta gets a little something going this week. Gets us excited.
What you're telling me is Khalif Raymond is about to go off.
He's going to feast. Tennessee's not going to know what hit him. When they're flying home from Canada, they're going to be thinking about Khalif Raymond in their nightmares.
Yep.
All right, AJ, get us on to another game.
Alrighty, next we have the Cardinals Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored by 4. Over under is 45.5. And this last week, Tyreek Hill said, "Strike up the effing band. Start me this week." So are you guys going to be starting Hill? I mean, I feel like there's no question there, but he hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1.
Well, and who was his quarterback week 1?
Tua.
Yeah. So, well, shoot. I was going to talk about the Cardinals, but I feel like you led me into the Dolphins. Yeah, I don't care. I'm starting my Dolphins, Andrew. I'm starting Tyreek. I'm starting Tua in some leagues, depending if people still have him on their roster. I think it's a great matchup for Tua. I will say he better be wearing that thing. The
Guardian
what do they call
cap.
it? I better see a guard. If he doesn't have a Guardian cap on, I'm gonna be like, dude, what are you doing? Like
They made that.
there's
for
people
you,
questioning him even coming back at all. I better see him
invented that
slide
for you.
Yeah, Tua. So he better be wearing that Guardian cap. But I'm willing to play Tyreek, him, A-Chain. I'm willing to play Jalen Waddle. All of them. Well, those 4. I'll probably stop there. But what about you, Andrew?
It's going to take some gusto. You have to start like Jalen Waddle. Waddle had 0 good games, nothing to get you any sort of excited about. But now we have to go back to as if he was fine. At the beginning of the season, things didn't start amazing because he was hurt. But now everything should start to align. We should have had Jalen Waddle as a buy low in our last podcast we had, but because we should have. He should be back to normal.
Yeah, because he did have 109 receiving yards week 1.
Yeah,
and then Tua got hurt. What, against Buffalo or Seattle? One of those games he got hurt.
Buffalo, because it was against DeMar Hamlin. Ironically,
oh, that's right.
Got hurt.
I do remember that. So yeah, I'm starting those 4, and I'm not looking back. I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to go, do I need to see a game? No, it's in Miami. They're playing a defense that's not very good in a game that could have shootout potential. I'm playing these guys.
Please get Devon Achane back going. Please.
Yep. Yes. Well, all of them. I think all of us deserve it, right?
We deserve it. We deserve it in fantasy. We've waited long enough. Tua, take care of yourself for us. Yep. We need you.
Other side of the ball, though, it doesn't look so good, Andrew. Miami's defense actually has given up very few points to quarterbacks and very few points to wide receivers and tight ends. So the thing is, Kyler is somewhat matchup proof. Go ahead.
They've played the Colts. They've played the Patriots.
I know what you're saying.
Titans.
Yeah.
Like they played week 1, Trevor Lawrence, and what was a
I know. That's the problem. We said this last week about Miami. They're kind of a little bit of a fraud defense, you know. But the thing is with Kyler Murray that makes me nervous. He's thrown for 145 yards, 195 yards, 142 yards, and 162 yards in games this year. So he's not really throwing for a lot of yards. And say what you want, yeah, they have played some bad quarterbacks, but regardless, they're giving up the fewest fantasy points to the position and the fewest passing yards. That combine the 2 of them, I am a little bit nervous. Are you not nervous at all?
No, because they also had the fact that they were scoring. I think they have the least points per game in the NFL. So
Okay.
they were pulling a little bit of a Houston Texans where they were so bad because they're also one of the best matchups for running backs. And that's because their defense is bad and they were
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think Murray's startable. I just have him as my QB 12. Like,
I don't want. It's more because of Murray that I don't want to play Murray. It's just been bad.
I know. Yeah, he's bailing you out with rushing, which is fine, but he's not really passing very well. So I definitely think he's startable. Like I said, QB 12, but there's a lot of people that have more than just Murray in their league. So check our rankings to see whether you think he should be startable or not.
AJ, he had his hand up, Steven.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Respect the hands.
I didn't.
Yes,
I wasn't
AJ.
looking at okay.
I don't know if this will affect your guys' opinion on Murray this week, but the new Call of Duty comes out this weekend, so he might
It's out
have
right
his
now.
mind elsewhere.
It's
It's
already
out
out
right now. Fun fact: if you set your, I learned this from a friend. If you set your time to Norwegian time zone, you can play the Call of Duty right now.
Is that wait? Do you just like? Is it just available? I'm gonna sound old, Andrew. Do you just like play it online now? Like you don't have to. I don't have to get in line.
The game. You'll go to your PlayStation store. I play in PlayStation, and you will download the game, and it'll be fully on your PlayStation. So the second the time, it ticks, it just turns on, and you can play.
So I don't have to get in line at like Blockbuster.
Steven, lines are gone, buddy. There's virtual lines, actually. No more lines.
Nah, I'm somewhat joking, but I actually have never played a game like that where you just download it and it's ready to go.
We'll
That's
point
how
out
old
your
I am.
age later, Steven. Don't you worry.
All right, so James Conner, definitely playing him. He's just been a stud. We said he would be, Andrew. We said it this offseason.
I remember distinctly an episode, I don't think you were on it, where we made running back tiers, and I wanted to push James Conner way up, and I got told no, and I resent that.
I think it was somebody you talked me into because I definitely posted about him, basically saying I'm going to have to. I've been anti-James Conner for too many years. This year I'm not going to be anti-James Conner, and it's looking good. I think you talked me into it. I think that's what happened.
James Conner, RB11 on the season.
Playing James Conner. Marvin Harrison, though, he's been frustrating. You have to play him. He's my wide receiver 24, especially if this turns into a shootout, which they always have a chance in Miami when Tua is playing. So definitely playing him, but Miami's not giving up very much to wide receivers. But you're definitely playing Trey McBride. This is one of those things, Andrew. It's just tough because the Dolphins have given up nothing, but they've also played nobody. So I just think you roll with these are good players. Play your good players.
Watching the Colts game, I saw a lot of open receivers who didn't get hit, so that's not a good example. But hopefully this is a weird shootout. At the beginning of the year, we would have guessed a shootout. Let's get back to that, please. Kyler, step up. Tua, stay safe.
I think you just use your common sense on these and you don't look at the numbers so much.
Please be good. AJ, next one.
Alrighty, we have the Jets Patriots. The Jets are favored by 7. Over under is 40.5. And when he was at JUCO, Aaron Rodgers would update his voicemail weekly to have his updated season stats in case a scout called while he was away, and they could just get their stats right away.
I'm not super shocked by that. Like, I don't even know how you find this stuff, AJ.
I don't know if I like Aaron Rodgers or not. Like,
I know I don't. I can tell you that.
But that's hilarious. That's awesome.
I think Aaron Rodgers thinks he's way cooler and funnier than he actually is.
Have you seen Boogergate?
No.
Aaron Rodgers got caught eating boogers on the sideline.
I've seen that happen with like politicians before, where they show them on C-SPAN or something, or like MSNBC. They're like a town hall thing and they eat one. The poor guy. Well, I don't feel bad for Rodgers.
Political office now, Rodgers. No VP candidacy for you.
No. Boogergate. All right. Let's see here. Breece Hall. We said to buy him a few weeks ago, Andrew. We said the schedule lightens up, and man, I mean, Derrick Henry probably looks like the best running back in football, but would you say Breece Hall, number 2, right behind him? Is there anybody else you'd rather have?
According to the comments and some of my tweets and times I've been in your comment section, Breece Hall sucks. So
I know.
He's absolutely awful.
You know how many of those I had to field the Breece Hall sucks? Like, should I get rid of him? And no, you shouldn't have. And if you did, I'm sure you're regretting it. Jets actually almost 25 implied point total on this one, which is kind of high for them. Probably because they're playing the Patriots. It's in New England. This is a start your Jets, in my opinion. I think now Aaron Rodgers, because quarterback's deep and he doesn't really scramble, I've got him at QB 20. I would not be surprised if he finishes much higher than that this week, especially with another week of practice with Devontae Adams. I think Adams and Garrett Wilson should do fine in this one. I've got them ranked 12 and 13. I couldn't even decide which one I wanted to put first. Both of them had 9 targets last week. I like the offense. I think they look good in this one.
I can also see, this is no analytical backing to it, I can see the Jets really wanting to lay one on the Patriots and just want to stat pad and feel good about themselves because it's been rough these last couple of weeks. And if they get ahead, I don't see them getting off the gas pedal. I see them, Aaron Rodgers is going to try to set like a passing touchdown record if he can in this one.
Yeah, I hope so. I have him in a league, so I'm hoping he does something. And then on New England, this is where I think, we've been excited about Drake May. Things have looked good. I think that he's going to get a little welcome to the NFL moment this week. I think, now I thought that the Steelers would have some trouble last week against the Jets, and the Jets defense looked awful. But I got to think they got a good yelling at watching film this last week. I think the Jets defense will play better this week. So I think Drake May, I think he's in for a rough one. I don't really feel comfortable with anyone in this offense, not Hunter Henry either. I know he's been good as of lately. I don't want to start anybody. Maybe Ramondre. I just wish he was getting more passing down work. What about you?
Demario Douglas, if he goes in this one, he's listed not on the injury report.
I can't trust that guy. He said to start him last week, and
he was
sick, man.
Work on your immune system. What's with illness? Demario Douglas missed. Deebo Samuel got pneumonia. What is going on? Take care of yourselves out here. Do we need to go back to the COVID masks?
Dude,
don't do that to us.
I had like my wife and my daughter got pneumonia this summer. I'll tell you what. I don't know. Maybe they have better medicine in the NFL, but that would make me worried about Deebo because that thing, it took like a month, over a month it felt like to get over. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to stay away from the Patriots offense in this one.
Hunter Henry. I'm willing to start Hunter Henry. He's just been getting so much work. It's been so good with Drake May, and they're going to probably fall behind. I will start Hunter Henry. I don't love it, but I'm willing to start Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Now,
if we get the Jets, now I could be completely wrong. If the Jets look like they did against the Steelers, then I'm going to look stupid. And there's at least 3 Patriots that are going to look good in this one, But
here's the thing with Hunter Henry, especially, he's got some good matchups coming up. Tennessee next week, not great, but Hunter Henry's looked so good with Drake May. I'm not willing to drop him to avoid this matchup. I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah.
All right, AJ. Next one.
All right. We talked about them all. I guess we can move to the next one.
That one was pretty easy. Don't start the Patriots because it'll make you sad. Jets, you start your studs. AJ, what's the next one?
Alrighty, next we have the Falcons Buccaneers. The Falcons are favored by 2.5. The over-under is 45.5. And a couple weeks ago, I told you guys that Chris Godwin's real name was Rod. R.I.P. his ankle.
Rod Godwin.
But this week, I am here to tell you that Bucky Irving's first name is Marquise.
That one makes more sense. It's not as direct and to the point as Rod. Rod God is so good. Rod Godwin, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Prayers for him and his family and his fantasy managers.
They're going to need it.
Yeah. So Atlanta, this one's getting pretty cut and dry. You just start Drake London every week.
Oh, yeah, you do.
That's one of Andrew's boys. Kirk Cousins,
Victory
though.
lap.
I moved Cousins all the way up to QB9. Too high, Andrew? He doesn't run. But man, does that matchup look good.
If it's the second best in its schedule adjusted is Tampa going up against Tampa Bay. The issue is I don't know if Tampa Bay is going to put up a fight. They're going to try their best, and I really like their offense. And I don't think the Baker thing is a complete fluke.
No, I don't think it's a fluke at all. What do you mean?
I think he's playing a little over his skis. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback like he's been.
No, he's not a top 5 fantasy quarterback, but I think he's turning into a legit quarterback.
He's like Jared Goff now, for what that's worth.
And Andrew, who has the highest over-under or highest implied total every week?
It's the Detroit Lions, but it's not just because of Jared Goff. The issue is
ripped
away. But he's playing like he's Patrick Mahomes. The numbers Mayfield's putting up, if we would have done a blank side-by-side and you said one of these is Patrick Mahomes and one of these is Baker Mayfield, we would have tricked you every time. I'm scared. You can start Kirk. This might not be as good as we hope because I just think they'll get ahead, and the Bucs defense is bad at stopping everything.
Yeah, I think maybe QB9 is too high, but the matchups there, I don't think they're gonna be able to stop him. The only thing that would make me nervous is if Bijan somehow got like 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns in this one. Like that's the only thing that I think could hold him back. But the matchups there, Yeah, it won't be like it was, 2 weeks ago? Was it just, or 3 weeks ago when the two teams played and
That was
threw for
great.
500 yards. It's not going to be like that, unfortunately. But I don't know. I think Baker's good enough to keep this competitive. Kind of like you said, Stafford is good enough to keep the Rams kind of afloat. I think Baker's going to be that way with.
I don't know about that. I think it's going to have to be on the back of the run game.
Nah, you know what? I think you're going to. Well, let me finish up with Atlanta.
Okay.
Bijan Robinson, he's looking like he's now that top 5 running back we had all hoped he would be. I think he should have a game in this one. I like Darnell Mooney also. You got to start Kyle Pitts also. So those 5 guys, I feel comfortable starting all of them.
Yeah, Bijan Robinson, it had some weird fluke of usage in week 6 where he actually only got 39% of the rushing attempts. Other than that, pretty steadily right around 60% rushing attempts, 60 to 70% of the snaps. You keep rolling with him. Algiers startable in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think so too. But moving over to Tampa and going back to Baker, though, this isn't just like this year that he's been doing it. He was good last year too. So I think he's going to be, it's at home too. I think that helps. So I think that this offense will be okay. I think that Rachaad White is a must start this week. I think that he's going to pick up so many receptions with this. I've got him ranked too low. I don't know. I've got him at RB28. I don't know why I've got him that low. I need to rank him higher. Where would you rank White this week?
I'd have to go compare him to some other guys, but
Okay.
he's getting, it sucks to see. I really thought the Bucky Irving breakout was going to be even bigger, and it's been some negative game scripts for the Bucks, but White's getting 50% of the work, 50% of the touches, which is less than he was getting, and he's not that great. But in what should be a negative game script, I do think you can flex White and Bucky Irving.
Bucky's not
But
playing.
I don't feel Bucky's in on this one. I think he just got cleared. I'll bet that.
Wait. Hold on. Bucky.
Officially did not practice.
No,
Read
I
it the
saw that
wrong way.
I thought that they said he wasn't. I swear I saw an alert a couple hours ago that said he's out week 8.
Did not practice. You were right. So Rachaad White, with that being said, yeah, I'd probably make him an RB2. I think there'll be a negative game script. And when there's no receivers, receiving running backs eat.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, why do I have White ranked so low? Because I had heard that news, but I do my rankings early on Thursday, so I hadn't got that news yet. But
That's what you get for staying ahead.
Yeah, so he scored 29 points against Baltimore. He had 6 that's the thing. He's been targeted like 23 times this year. He's caught 25 of them. So if a ball gets thrown to him, 9 out of 10 times he's going to catch it. And in PPR leagues, we love that. And he's actually the last 3 games, Andrew, 4.9 yards per carry, 7.2 yards per carry, 4 yards per carry. That's very non-Rachaad White like he's actually been decent. So I think he's top 15 this week. I think he's kind of close to a must start just because I think he's going to get a ton of receiving work.
I think that's pushing it for me. I wouldn't have started him before this week. I will start him now.
Yeah. Okay. What about McMillan? Any of the receivers? Are you interested in any of them, or do you kind of want to see how things shake out?
I have to see how it shakes out. If you're desperate, I think my order goes McMillan, then Palmer, then Sterling Shepard.
Okay. But I think you'll agree you would be very willing to start Cade Otton.
Never, ever, ever am I willing to start Cade Otton. He does nothing with his targets. He only gets cardio. That man's in shape. Oh, my God. He does nothing.
No. He was good. What are you talking about?
Let's go look at some stats. He had 100 yards last game. I did not notice that. However,
Andrew, that's what I'm saying. You didn't watch. You did not watch. Admit you did not watch Monday Night Football.
Before that, I actually did not get the chance.
Okay.
Before that, he had 1 double-digit fantasy game.
No, Andrew, if you watched, I don't know if you saw it, AJ. That man was catching everything thrown to him. He had the David Tyree catch. And here's what I will say: the guy doesn't wear receiver gloves.
That's cool.
Have you? It is, but it's not. Have you ever? I high-fived a player one time. I went to a Bronco game years ago. I bet they're even more sticky now. My hand almost came off with the glove. Like, those things are so sticky. How he's not wearing them, I don't know. But he had 18 fantasy points, 100 receiving yards, 10 targets. He's going to get 8+ targets in this one. So I have him ranked as my tight end 7. I think Cade Otton, I think he's a solid start this week.
I take it back. He's startable.
Okay. All right.
AJ, get us on to the next one. I don't want to talk about Cade Otton anymore.
Alrighty. The next one is the Packers Jaguars. The Packers are favored by 4. Over under is 49.5. And T-Law is on track for 22 touchdowns this year, which seems pretty low, but yet that would be his second highest of his career.
Isn't the highest like 25?
Yep, and that was 2 years ago.
Yep.
I feel like T-Law, correct me if I'm wrong. When you see Trevor Lawrence, like and I'm talking dynasty leagues, everybody feels like I'm going to try to buy low on him. But is it ever going to pan out? That's what I want to know, because it doesn't feel like it. Like, he just feels kind of meh. He just feels like a meh quarterback.
Get him a new OC and maybe we'll talk. But yeah. It's just it just sucks. T-Law, do more. Cut your hair.
Yeah, maybe that's the secret. But all right, since we left off with the Jags, I'm going to start there. I don't really want to start Trevor Lawrence against Green Bay. They've been pretty good this year. They give up the 6th fewest fantasy points to the quarterback position. Would I be shocked if he throws like a touchdown or two? No, but I just don't think he's got a high ceiling in this one. So I'm not excited to start him. Brian Thomas, I'm always excited to start. I don't care if it's a tough matchup. I got him as the wide receiver 17. I'd have him higher in a better matchup. Evan Ingram, it's a better matchup for tight ends. They give up the 8th most fantasy points to the tight end position. Green Bay does. So I do like Evan Ingram in this one. And then as for the running backs, I don't know if ETN's going. Do you happen to know, Andrew, if he's practiced yet?
I believe he has. I think he's geared up to go for this one. Stays limited in practice. I'd bet he goes.
Yeah, that makes things less fun for Tank Bigsby. So I think he's more of an RB3. Honestly, if they're splitting the workload, it's really hard to know what is going to happen there. He's going to need a touchdown, I think, to do something, because he has 1 reception all year. So I'm not excited about it. You willing to start any of the running backs if they both go?
The ETN is a flex RB3 if need be, because I expect the Jags to be down in this one. ETN is kept his receiving role no matter what. So I think he'll keep that.
Yep. Is he this is off topic. Is he a free agent next year?
He is indeed. I think that's a decent dynasty buy to see if he lands somewhere good.
Both he and Tank Bigsby.
Yep. Wait on Tank Bigsby. Wait for him to have a bad couple of weeks, then you can buy Tank.
Which could be this week.
Exactly.
So after this week. All right, let's move over to Green Bay. Let's see.
Start everyone.
Yeah, start your Packers. I mean, Jordan Love, I've got him as a QB4 this week. If he ran more, I'd have him as a QB1. Yeah, start all of them. Start Jacobs. Start Dubs. I think you can start him. Start Kraft. I don't know how far down you're willing to go. I think Wicks could have a good game in this one. Watson could have a good game in this one. Those guys are more like desperation plays probably, but I think all these receivers, I still think they're interchangeable. I think that's the frustrating thing with these receivers.
Rank them. Which one are you going to start in order?
Reed, Romeo, and then Wicks, and then Watson.
I agree.
But I think they could finish in any particular order.
Yep. Yeah. You have to start. You can start any one of them. You have to start Reed. You should probably start Dubs.
Yeah.
Wicks you can start, and some of them are going to stink because there's so many, but they could all go way off.
Yep. And then Kraft too. You can start Tucker Kraft. I got him at tight end 9.
And you can also start Josh Jacobs. Weirdly, the Jags not terrible against the run. Like, in terms of being good at stopping it, the issues are always losing.
Yeah.
They're not good at stopping it. They're just not awful. But Jacobs should still eat.
They do give up a ton of receptions, and Jacobs does get a decent amount of receptions. Got his first
receiving touchdown last week.
Those things are just fluky. Like, every now and then you get one of those weird random stats, and that was a weird one.
And that's what AJ provides for us.
Yes.
AJ, get us another one of those stats. Next game.
You might want to rethink that after you see what this stat is, but we have the Colts Texans. The Texans are favored by 5. Over under is 45.5. And so far this year, AR has thrown for 783 yards. Now he has been hurt. But just in his last 5 games, Derrick Henry has 793 yards between the ground and air.
Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
You know what? I got to say, when you just said he has that many passing yards, that felt high. I was like, he's got that many? It feels like AR has like 350. That's just
He's really good,
like.
Steven. He's really good. Okay, tell me if I'm wrong. This feels like a weird trap game for the Texans. Like, I know I'm a Colts fan, but things have not looked amazing for the Texans as they've been going on, and it just feels like a gross divisional game. That's my gut feeling.
Well, they have played Buffalo and they have played Green Bay 2 of the last 3 weeks. So they have had some tough opponents, but I don't know. I kind of see it the other way. I could see like this being a get right game for the Texans. I'll start with them. CJ Stroud, it's a great matchup for him. I've got him as my QB5 this week. I think he could have a good game in this one. He did score 19 fantasy points last time he played them. Now he did have Nico Collins, so that probably helped a little bit. Starting him, starting Joe Mixon, who is anyone getting more work than Joe Mixon in the NFL as far as a running back goes? Like more
No.
volume. I think he's literally, and he's actually looked very good. We've talked about Mixon in the past, like looking kind of plodding and inefficient. That's not been the Joe Mixon we've seen this year. So definitely starting him. Diggs, I've got it as a wide receiver 8. Is that too high, Andrew? He did have one of his better games of the season, maybe his best game of the season the last time these two teams played. He had, 2 touchdowns?
He has had a 27% target share since Nico Collins got hurt, so he's at least a very, very safe play.
Yeah, he did score 22 fantasy points last time these two teams played, caught all 6 of his targets. I think he's a must start. I don't think anyone's questioning starting him, but I think he's a wide receiver 1 this week. Tank Dell, though, totally different story. Andrew, I know you love Tank Dell. You starting him.
He's got 1 week with a top 36 finish, and it's just not been good. I still think he's hurt. I still think he's coming back from whatever he had to deal with, getting shot and breaking his leg in the last calendar month.
God, he got shot.
Another player just got shot today.
Yeah,
Josh Reynolds
for the Broncos. I know.
It's an epidemic.
I always like it though when they say early morning. So I go, man, early morning like drive by and coming out of a strip club. I'm like,
yeah, Josh,
okay.
what were you doing there, buddy?
I do that, but whenever I hear those first, I'm always like, God, was he getting donuts early in the morning? Got shot? That's weird. And then you're like, oh, strip club.
There was no donuts present. There actually might have been donuts present. I heard the buffets there.
Yeah, it could have been.
I will start Dell. I don't want to start. I'm not like dying to start Dell.
He did have 9 targets 2 weeks ago and scored 18 fantasy points. He's not going to score 0 points this week. We know that. I think that he actually could have a decent game. I got him as a wide receiver 2 this week. I'm willing to start him. And I'm also willing to start Dalton Schultz. Colts have been awful against tight ends. I think Dalton Schultz could actually have a decent game in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, he's my tight end 14.
That's a good number.
Let me clarify, but I think matchup wise he could have a decent game.
That's a good number for it. What about the Colts? Who Jonathan Taylor's back. Thank goodness. You're absolutely starting him, right?
Oh, is he back? I was kind of I have a Tyler Goodson shares that I needed this week.
Jonathan Taylor has been cleared with a full practice.
All right, yeah, it's not a great matchup for him, but who cares? Yeah, and maybe you know what, this could help Anthony Richardson. Actually, this could help the whole offense.
I agree.
Bad matchup. Houston giving up the 4th fewest fantasy points to the running back position, but I think that Jonathan Taylor, it doesn't matter. He's really good at football, so I've got him. I got him. Like, it's a bad matchup, but you got to start it. Anthony Richardson, though, I'm not. I'm waiting. I'm just waiting until he looks like he can do something. He has just looked so bad. Matchup's not great. Houston giving up the 9th fewest completions, and he's giving the fewest completions as far as throwing them. So I don't like that combination. I'm not starting him. And the wide receivers, it's a middle of the road matchup, but it's just wait and see for me with these wide receivers. It's literally for me.
You can't start one. You cannot start one.
It's Jonathan Taylor, and that's about it for me.
Anthony Richardson, I say it every week. You can start Anthony Richardson every single week because at some point he can pop off for 30 points. Because you see how many times he ran the ball last week, Steven? 14 times he ran the football, and he was good running the football. He's finally at the point. What I kept saying is, you're bad at throwing. You may as well run. That's what you're good at. What are we protecting? Your throwing arm? That's already broken. It doesn't work. And so I just think they keep running it. He has one rushing touchdown on the year. I think hopefully with Taylor things get going, but my goodness, it's hard to watch.
Yeah, I just look at his game log and it's so gross to look at.
You can start him. You don't have to.
I'm not doing it. I'm waiting a week. I'm fine waiting to see it happen. And then I'll be like, all right, okay, now I can throw him in. But he just looks so bad. He just looks too bad. So sorry.
Watch the Colts win this one. That's all I'm saying. AJ, before you can rebuttal, on to the next one.
Alrighty, next we have the Saints Chargers. The Chargers are favored by 7. Over under is 40.5. And this week, MVS has found himself on his 4th team in his 7 seasons. And so he's, had 4 different teams that he's been on. But in one season, there's only been one that he has had more than 4 touchdowns. And that was 6 3 years ago.
Yeah, and he also has been the benefactor of like some really good quarterbacks, and that is no longer the case.
Well, he's what makes them great. I mean, he's played with Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. He is what makes them great.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to get this one pulled up here. We got to talk about the Saints, right? Is that what we're talking about right now?
Let's roll with it. Who on the Saints are you willing to start at all?
Alvin Kamara. But I did move him down. He hasn't been as good lately. He's a bit banged up.
That being said, Alvin Kamara has had only that last game, the first game this season, he didn't have double-digit points.
Yeah, no, he's been solid. Not a great matchup though. Chargers really good against pretty much all positions. Honestly, their defense has been really good.
And they play so slow. They have no plays every game. They don't want to play. They just want to. They think it's still the 1940s.
Yeah, I got Kamara at RB12. It's almost feeling high because I could see like a lot of these drives not going anywhere for the Saints with Spencer Rattler at quarterback. He looks like he should not be playing in the NFL. It kind of reminded me of Malik Willis the first couple of starts that he had. Like does not look like an NFL quarterback.
You should have J.K. Dobbins ahead of Alvin Kamara. You have J.K. at the RB14 right now.
Yeah, and when I was looking at stuff, I was just like, it's Alvin Kamara. I was doing it's Alvin Kamara. I can't move him to like RB2, but it does kind of feel that way. I might move him down a little bit more. Yeah, the only thing is my one saving grace, I hope, is Alvin Kamara will get enough receptions to be startable in this one. Like we saw was it last season? He had a 13 reception game. Like I could see one of those games happening. He's had at least 7 targets in the last 4 games. So I think he'll do enough in the receiving game to get something going. But it could, who knows? It could be like it was against Denver last week and get you 9 points. What about Olave, Andrew? He's scaring me this year, and it's not feeling any better with Spencer Rattler at quarterback.
Here's the thing. He told us a couple weeks ago, Rattler said,
I know what he said.
I'm just going to throw it at Chris Olave. And then he immediately got hurt, which sucked. But now Rashid Shaheed's not there. And it's either MVS, Mason Tipton, or Chris Olave that he's going to have to throw footballs at. Oh, sorry. Taysom Hill is also an option that he's going to have to throw footballs to. I think Olave could get there on volume because I think he'll get somewhere between 6 and 9 targets. You can start him. He's a wide receiver 2 or 3.
I don't think Taysom's playing. Or is he? Oh, sorry. Okay, never mind. He is playing. Sorry.
Big change.
But he's not going to be a passing option. But I could see, that makes me actually a little more nervous about Kamara. Because one, not only do I not think that they will get to the red zone very often, if at all. If they get there, I could see the Taysom experience happening. And yeah. Sadly, I don't want to start any of these guys. I got Olave as like my wide receiver 32, if that helps, Andrew.
That sounds exactly perfect.
Yeah. But moving on to, I was excited for Harbaugh as far as like being back in the NFL. But when you start to look at it from a fantasy perspective, I kind of want him to go back to college. He's making it not fun. Okay, it's fun for J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, it is.
Like I said, I got him as RB14, or like you had said. I think he'll have a game in this one. They're 8.5 point or 7.5 point favorites, so they're going to run a ton. They always do. It's a good matchup. Definitely play Dobbins. I don't feel that comfortable about anybody else though, Andrew, on that roster. What about you?
J.K. Dobbins, the last 3 games, the New Orleans Saints, they have allowed Javonte Williams to have a 25-plus point game. They gave up 200 rushing yards, over 200 rushing yards to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they gave 100 rushing yards to Kareem. Fat man rolled off his couch, had a donut on his way out the door. Hunt. Mm-hmm. So I think Dobbins could go for 200 yards in this game, and it's going to be exciting, and they can't tackle it all.
Right?
You can start Ladd McConkey. He's getting a lot of targets. Weirdly enough, Justin Herbert actually went and threw the ball these last couple of weeks.
Well, last week, right? Not the last 2. I think
34 pass attempts and 39 pass attempts these last 2 weeks.
Okay, it was last 2 weeks. All right.
And so it's not phenomenal. You can start Ladd. You just have to hope he catches a touchdown. He's a wide receiver 4.
Yeah, actually, the more that I think about it, I'd probably trust him more than Olave. I would probably rank him over Olave.
No.
I don't know, man. Better.
Spencer Rattler's going to throw it downfield, and Olave it's just going to be the kind of target each one gets.
But you must let everybody know that that's your favorite player in football is Olave.
I do love me some Chris Olave. Yeah. I want to start him all the time. There's some bias here.
All right, board bet. AJ, write this down. I say Lad McConkey outscores Chris Olave.
These are both my children. All right, write it down.
Okay.
We'll keep referencing these bets for
Okay.
going on for the rest
We
of the
won't
season.
remember next week or even on Sunday, but write it down anyway, AJ.
That's AJ's job.
Yeah.
All right. Get us on to the next one.
Alrighty, next we have the Bills going all the way to Seattle. The Bills are favored by 3. Over under is 46.5.
But how far are they
Steve,
flying?
No, he pulled this stat. It's
Exactly.
got to be the
They
furthest
are
travel.
flying. It's one of them. I think Miami might
I was
actually
gonna
be
say
the
Miami's
farthest,
probably
to
further.
Seattle. But the Bills, they're traveling 2,122
Okay.
miles.
2,100. All right. They got to fly over Canada, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't. Oh wait, I forgot they're going up to the northwest. They probably do.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Did you have a stat? Or was it just the mileage? All right. Let's see. Buffalo. Buffalo. Yeah. Obviously, you're starting Josh Allen. You're starting James Cook. I'm starting Amari Cooper. Starting Dalton Kincaid. It's actually a very good matchup for Kincaid. Not that he'll probably take advantage ever, but wouldn't be shocked if he had a decent game in this one.
This is like the best matchup for tight ends every week. Kyle Pitts did well last week.
We've said that. I don't know what it is in Seattle. They've been bad against tight ends for as long as I've been doing this stuff. They always are a good matchup. So yeah, I think Kincaid can have a game in this one. Let's talk about Keon Coleman though. Had the big game. Had my brother tilting a little bit because he had just traded him away. He traded for him in our dynasty league. Was doing nothing. Then finally traded him away. And the week he traded him away,
that's what fixed it.
But I will say he only had four targets last week.
He had 7 targets, 4 catches.
Sorry, 4 receptions. My bad. 4 receptions. Did a lot with those receptions, but Amari Cooper still getting integrated in the offense. Didn't have a ton of routes last week. I got to think that goes up. So
here's my hope. Keon Coleman, he got caught on 2 long plays where it wasn't him getting open. It was just broken defense was how he got those. And then he got caught running to the end zone. Remember when he ran, what was it, a 4.6 or a 4.7 in the 40 and everyone got scared? You saw that. That was a real 40 time. That wasn't some fake Puka stuff.
I agree. I've watched him run. He does. There was a touchdown he got. Which one was it? It was against, I think it was against Houston.
He's only got 2. It was either Houston or Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think it was Houston. And because it was a game when Josh Allen, I feel like got kind of saved by the touchdown that he scored, where I was like, did the defense get caught sleeping? Because he did look slow.
Keon Coleman, I'm hoping the emergence of Amari Cooper will let him play more of a slot, not outside receiver role, because he's really
they got
good.
Shakir though, man.
Coleman's got more talent than Shakir. Shakir's been playing better now. Keon Coleman, I wouldn't chase it. I wouldn't start him.
No, I think it's just Amari and Kincaid for me.
I could conceivably play Shakir. This is a good schematic matchup for him this week.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
Seahawks.
Seattle, they're fun. They're the opposite of Harbaugh. Tons of plays. Kenneth Walker, man, the guy. I moved him up to RB5. He just gets to use so much in the passing game. The Bills giving up the second most fantasy points to the position. Every week it seems like a new running back's going off against them. He's going to be no different, so he's a must start. Geno Smith. The Bills giving up the 8th fewest fantasy points per game to the position, but they're giving up the 3rd most completions. So, and he's an accurate quarterback. Now, not having DK Metcalf makes me a little bit nervous.
That's going to hurt.
So I got him at QB 17 this week. He's still got decent receivers though to throw to. It just really depends on your options. He's not like a must start or anything. Geno this week got him as a mid-range QB2. And then the wide receivers, Bills have been good against wide receivers in this one, but I don't know. I think Seattle's going to have to throw a lot in this one to keep up. I don't know. I'm willing to start JSN. I don't know about Lockett. I guess he's more of I think both are kind of like wide receiver 3s with upside this week. Where are you at with those guys?
I'd rather start Lockett than JSN. JSN has just been getting lots of targets and not doing anything with them, so it's not getting me necessarily excited to play him. He's had one good week. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful that they will be forced to use him more this week. I'm willing. I like JSN. Lockett's just so old. Come on, Andrew. Did you just pick the old guy?
Why are you always after these young guys, Steven? Trying to get the young guys to do stuff when they've never done it.
I'm surprised you would ever say anything nice about it. He's super old.
All right, you broke me. Tyler Lockett, go to the retirement home already. You don't even get tackled. What are we doing out here?
I don't know if you know this. He's a real estate agent too. And,
of course he is. So responsible.
Dude, for sure. Like, think about that. You're a real estate agent. Every teammate's going to use you. That guy's probably killing it in real estate.
Good for you, Tyler Lockett. That being said, I think both these guys are wide receiver 3s in this matchup.
Yep, I agree.
AJ, next one. Actually, maybe
Alrighty.
not.
Well, we've got the 2015 Super Bowl rematch, if you can believe that.
Yeah.
We have the Panthers taking on the Broncos. The Broncos are favored by 10. Over under is 41.5. And this week, Andy Dalton's out because he was in a car crash, and luckily him and his family is okay. But this isn't the first time that the Panthers have had to replace a QB because of a car crash. Back in 2014, Cam Newton missed a game when he flipped his truck.
Really?
I remember that.
I don't remember that one. I do remember that Super Bowl though, because I'm a Broncos fan. I was in Key West when that Super Bowl happened. Had a vacation, not really thinking the Broncos were going to be in the Super Bowl, I guess, or just didn't look at the dates, and was in Key West when that happened. And my wife was 6 months pregnant and sick, and so we started watching the game like on one of those big blow up things they put on the beach, but then she didn't feel good. We had to go back to the hotel room, and so I watched that on the smallest TV possible, I think, at the time. So not one of the more memorable Super Bowls for me for like a Broncos victory, I can say. But let me get to the Broncos here. Andrew,
Tell everyone about your love for Bo Nix, because you've been texting about it all the time.
I think he is. I said he's on pace for like a Daniel Jones-esque fantasy season. He's on pace for over 600 rushing yards, which is very, very good for fantasy purposes. Carolina is awful. They are an awful defense. I've got Bo Nix as my QB 13 this week, Andrew. I think it's in Denver. They are, dude, I can't even believe this number. This is the Bryce Young effect. They are 10.5-point favorites. The Broncos are in this one. Like,
what's crazy about your Bo Nix ranking is it's not crazy. He's literally the QB 14 on the season.
That's kind of crazy, actually. That just seems crazy. Yeah, I like him in this one. Definitely startable. Javonte Williams.
Have to start him.
You have to. He's my RB15 this week. PFF loves it. They got it like a 10 out of 10 on their matchup scale. Got to start Williams. Cortland Sutton, dude, it's feast or famine with this guy. He's either very, very good or he's very, very bad. Wide receiver 3. You got to rank him as what, like wide receiver 3 every week, unless it's a bad matchup. But even in those bad matchups, those are the ones he seems to have good games. When it's like he's going against Sauce Gardner, who cares? He's going to have a good game in that one. So I got him as my wide receiver 31. That's about it, though, right? Those 3.
I'm not even starting Cortland Sutton. He has to catch a touchdown. I guess you can. I don't.
No, I think Andrew. I think he's in the Chris Olave conversation. I really do. I think
that's disrespectful. How dare you? How dare you?
I think you've actually been pretty disrespectful to Cortland Sutton, and you probably owe him an apology at some point.
I do not think so at all. Cortland Sutton, buddy, go learn how to play receiver. Go retire. Go to real estate with Tyler Lockett.
Too high on Olave, too low on Sutton, I think. That's my opinion.
I will feel good about ranking Cortland Sutton too low. I will love that.
Board bet.
There's another one, AJ. Cortland Sutton.
Sutton versus Olave. Sutton's outscoring Olave.
Olave's going to win this bet for me, scoring 10 points.
That is possible. All right, let me get to Carolina. Did I even put any Carolina Panthers in my rankings
I won't start a single one. Hubbard's the only one I can dream of starting because he gets all of the touches.
Yeah, it will be Hubbard and Deontay Johnson. Where are we at with this guy? Like, I know Bryce Young might be the worst quarterback I've ever seen play. Like that's possible. So, but Deontay, he had the bad game with Dalton last week. People were like, this guy could be dropped, and then it was now he's a top 12 wide receiver rest of the season. Is he that quarterback dependent, or is it just we have just such an extreme outlier in Bryce Young?
It's just Bryce Young is that bad. Andy Dalton made him look good, and Andy Dalton's not good. You can't start Johnson in this one. He's got Surtain on him.
No, you can't. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement. It's Chuba Hubbard, and that's about it.
And that stinks. AJ, on to another one.
Alrighty. Next, we have the Chiefs Raiders. The Chiefs are favored by 9.5. Over under is 41.5. And Steve, you had a post out today or yesterday, fun facts, and it's Mahomes is on track to throw 23 interceptions this season. So he's already got 8, which is more interceptions than he's thrown in 3 of his seasons. And we're only in week 7.
Yeah, I like to think things are going to get better, though. They did add DeAndre Hopkins to the team this week. I think Hopkins is well past his prime, but I don't think he's toast yet. So let's talk about Mahomes. He's historically he did have that game. What was it, on Christmas last year, where he looked awful against the Raiders? But I don't think that happens. These Raiders are not so good, and historically he's been pretty good against them. So I've got him at QB 11 this week, which previous years I'd have Mahomes ranked near the top spot. But PFF loves the matchup too. They got a 10 out of 10. Are you starting Mahomes, Andrew?
Yeah, if you drafted him where you probably drafted him, you have to, unless you have some waiver wire stud. I would probably pick up and start Tua over him, quite possibly. I just don't see how the Raiders put up a fight and make them do anything other than run the ball in a whole bunch of times.
That's the thing that makes me nervous is Kareem Hunt running in
Fire
2 touchdowns.
up Kareem Hunt. Rolled off the couch, got himself a donut. That dude looks so out of shape, and I love it. He makes me feel like I could be an NFL running back.
See, I disagree. I actually don't think he has looked that out of shape. Like, I expected him. He looks faster than I would have guessed. He's kind of the Joe Mixon thing. I think he's looked better than I was expecting.
He looks so slow.
I don't know. I guess I disagree.
Although you have to start him.
You know what? Although I am looking at his yards per carry, they've been under 4 each of the last 2 weeks. So to your point, probably pretty slow.
But he's had 20 plus carries and a touchdown each of the last 2 weeks once he's gotten rolling. Until Pacheco comes back, you have to start Hunt every week. Yeah,
especially in this matchup. I got him at RB13 this week. Raiders can't stop anybody. And being 9.5-point favorites, Kansas City, they're going to run a lot. Kelsey, he looks toast. He's talking about looking slow and washed. Like, that guy has hit a complete cliff. But he's my tight end 5, Andrew, because, well, it's Travis Kelsey, and it's the tight end position. He has Mahomes as his quarterback.
Raiders on the other side of the ball, and they can't stop a single thing. Fire up Kelsey. Will you start D-Hop?
It depends on what my lineup looks like. I've been fielding questions about him this week, and it really depends. Like, I'd start him over Deontay Johnson. It just depends on what we're looking at. But if we look at Devontae Adams last week and Amari Cooper got saved by a touchdown. Devontae Adams got 9 targets, but he also had Aaron Rodgers as quarterback for nearly a decade. So they didn't, those guys didn't put up amazing performances. So it really, like I said, it really depends. I think he's more of like a wide receiver 4, though.
Yeah, and I do not want to start Xavier Worthy. So who on the Raiders?
Well, let me ask you this, though, about Worthy. He did have 8 targets last week. In Hopkins' first game back, I could still see Worthy getting a decent amount of work in at least this first game. So how many targets do you think he's going to get in this one?
Worthy?
Yeah.
5 or less. They're just not going to throw the ball much.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
he's been touchdown or bust.
I think he's a back-end wide receiver 3.
I think that's way too high. You back-end wide receiver 3. How many? Can I bet like a spread on Olave over Worthy? Like, he'll get 3 more points than. We'll add this to our board somehow.
I just think that he can do so much with the ball when he actually gets it. Raiders defense, I'm just not scared of him. So I think he's boom or bust. That's for sure. But I don't know. Probably more of a wide receiver 4, but we know he has some upside.
Raiders, Brock Bowers, no one else.
Yeah. Although, what about Madison? That guy, he has been solid this season.
Against the Chiefs, it's going to be tough. I guess he will catch a lot of passes. Madison's had 3 catches, 5 catches, 2 catches.
They're not even using anybody else. Like, he's getting all the work. That's
70%,
the thing.
68%, and 57% of the snaps. With everyone back this week, you'd had to have drafted CMC, and what other running backs have gotten hurt? You'd have to be real desperate to start Alexander Madison.
Yeah, and the matchup's not great. That's the problem. The Chiefs giving up the fewest fantasy points to the position. I don't know if you know, Derrick Henry scored 10 points versus the Chiefs. That's probably all you need to know. That's the problem. Would I be surprised if Alexander Madison scores you 12 to 15 fantasy points? I wouldn't, just because I think he could get enough receptions in this one. But yeah, it's a low ceiling.
Bowers and no one else for me.
Yeah. Bowers, though, he's going to have a game.
He's a stud. He's going to break all the tight end rookie records. It's going to be phenomenal. Good for him.
Chiefs giving up the most points to the tight end position.
Can I put him down in my rankings because of his hairline, though?
I think he needs to go full shave. I don't know about you.
Be bald. He'd look good bald.
Yeah, he would. He looked like Brian Urlacher. Just do it. You know.
Yeah. Do it,
Yeah.
Brock. We know it's in on the Raiders. That would look tough.
Yeah.
AJ, next one.
Alrighty, next we have the Bears and Commanders. The Bears are favored by 3. Over under is 43.5. And this week we might be getting robbed of another good draft pick matchup.
That would have been fun.
You know, earlier in the year, we missed out on the 2 number 1 overall picks in the prior 2 years because Bryce Young sucks, and now we might miss the 1st and 2nd pick of this year because of Jaden Daniels being injured. So I think Caleb Williams might have it out. He might little conspiracy theory. He's like doing something so he doesn't have to face these top draft picks.
He was so scared to play Bryce Young. He wanted nothing to do with that.
Yeah, so I think he didn't. Jaden didn't practice. I don't think he's going to be starting, which is a bummer.
Protect your young rookie.
And they should. This was the worry with Jaden Daniels. Like, he has no muscle to protect anything. Like,
he's so skinny.
He is so, like, he's built like me. I'm a skinny guy. Trust me. You get hit, it's not fun.
It looks hilarious when he gets hit because he's so tall and there's so much of him to hit because he's so long and he just lawn chairs. Jaden, stay safe.
He looks like a lollipop. And then, so I'm going to start with the Bears. Caleb Williams, QB7 this week. He was right before the bye week, really starting to look like that first round pick. He has back-to-back games, over 23 fantasy points. He's thrown for over 300 yards twice. He had 4 touchdowns against Jacksonville. Now, I know it was Jacksonville, but Washington, they are better. They're not as bad as I thought they were going to be, but I still think they're one of the bottom half league, secondary. So I think that Caleb Williams, QB7 this week. DJ Moore. One of these receivers is going to do something, Andrew. I can't tell you exactly which one it is, but I would bet on DJ Moore. He's my wide receiver 14 this week. Keenan Allen's my wide receiver 25. I think he's kind of a fringe wide receiver 2 this week. Rome Odunze, hard to start him, but would I be shocked if he did something in this one? I would not. And then Cole Kmet, not a great matchup on paper, but he just seems to always come through. I got him as my tight end 13 this week. DeAndre Swift, I think he could do okay in this one. It's not a great matchup, but the fact that they're 2.5-point favorites, I think you could get another decent game out of Swift. I got him ranked as a mid-range RB2 this week.
I agree. You can hopefully Jaden Daniels goes somehow. He probably won't. My only fear is Marcus Mariota doesn't put up points because this is a really good Bears team. I think the only one who I feel really confident in starting is Swift because it's like no matter he gets the work. So in a game where the Bears probably win by a decent margin, he's going to get a lot of running work. In a game where, if it's close, he's still going to get work. And I'm not going to reach too far for receivers in this one. DJ Moore is the only receiver I feel really good about. Kmet's been really good all year. But I think the Bears could be up a lot in this one.
But you feel good about Caleb, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll play Caleb just because the Commanders' defense sucks.
And he's good. I think he's looking good. And he's a dual threat quarterback.
He's had a lot of passing yards so far this year. So, yeah, I like him. He's been running a lot to set a floor. Yeah. Which Commanders are you willing to start in this one?
I mean, it's so hard to say because they actually did very well with Mariota last week, but it was Carolina.
It was Carolina.
And the Bears have a really good defense. So to answer your question, not very many. I'm willing to start Brian Robinson because for whatever reason, he is the new James Conner. That guy seems to be matchup proof. Every time the matchup looks really bad, he gets a touchdown. I have no data I just know because I've seen it. I've experienced it, Andrew. I'm just going on. I'm like one of those old school scouts right now in Moneyball where they're just like, oh, the crack of the bat. It makes a good sound. The guy, he's got a good looking girlfriend. He's got a lot of confidence. I'm going Brian Robinson just because he seems to get it done when it doesn't look like he can. I am nervous, though, about the receivers. I'm nervous about Terry McLaurin. I've got him ranked as a wide receiver, too, because he has been getting it done. But Mariota, it's not as fun with him playing quarterback.
I'd push him down even further in this one if it's Mariota. It's going to be a tough matchup either way. And then if you get Mariota, we know what Mariota is. Yeah. I wouldn't be excited about this one. So,
hey, well, AJ, I mean, this is a former number 2 overall pick. So, I mean, it's the number 1 versus a number 2 overall pick. Is that exciting? No, not so much. That is funny. They both, he and Jaden Daniels, both number 2 overall picks.
Let's get us on to Cowboys 49ers next, AJ.
Alrighty, so like Toysher said, we have the Sunday night game where the Cowboys are taking on the 49ers. 49ers are favored by 4.5. Over under is 47.5. And Steve, I've got a trivia question for you,
Yes.
okay? The 49ers and Cowboys have the most Super Bowl wins out of the NFC. Could you tell me how many Super Bowl wins they have? And could you tell me when their last Super Bowl was won by either of those teams? I will give you a hint. Neither Toysher or I were born when one of these teams won their last Super Bowl.
So both teams have 5 Super Bowl wins, if I'm not mistaken. They've
That is
actually
correct.
played each other quite a bit in the championship games as well. When was their last Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
That was your question. So the 49ers won the Super Bowl in 1994 against the San Diego Chargers at the time. And then the Dallas Cowboys the very next season beat the Steelers, your Steelers, in the Super Bowl with not that coach, the Sooners' old head coach. Can't think of his name right now. I can't think of the coach's name, but yeah, anyway, old Sooners head coach.
Yep, that is correct. And like I said, neither Toysher and I were born for those Super Bowls.
That's one, although I used to be quicker at it. That's one sort of gift I have is I remember the Super Bowls and when they happen and the years that are tied to them. But anyway, that's boring. Let me move on. Cowboys. So not a great matchup on paper against the 49ers. We have seen Dak put up some really bad games against San Francisco. I feel like San Francisco kind of has their number, but I don't care. I'm starting CeeDee Lamb, but Dak Prescott I'm a little bit nervous about, Andrew. I've got him as like a mid-range QB2 this week. What are your thoughts on Dak?
You've actually been able to throw the ball a little bit on the 49ers. Like, it's not been absolutely impossible to do. I'm willing to start Dak because it's what are the Cowboys going to do? Run the ball with Rico Dowdle and Zeke? He's fine. He's a mid-range QB2. I'm not excited about this one. The rest of his schedule, I'm very excited about.
Yeah. This is like the last little hurdle. It's not like San Francisco has been awful, but he gets some really good matchups coming up. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Dak ends up lighting up in this game, but the 49ers have played him tough. Here's a question I have for you, Andrew. CeeDee Lamb, rest of season, where would you rank him as, among wide receivers?
Just top 5 still. There's been some good receivers this year, but Lamb is just getting so many targets. It's so safe. The baseline's there.
Yeah. Do you think, is he massive? Would you rather have him than, Malik Neighbors?
I'd rather have him than Malik Neighbors.
But is it way ahead of Neighbors rest of the season for you?
It's like a couple spots. I think Malik Neighbors is probably top 10 and Lamb is top 5.
Yeah. Okay. I would agree with that. But I just don't know that he has the ceiling he's had in the past, but he's going to have his games. He just hasn't had them yet. They're obviously starting him. Rico Dowdle, I'm a little bit nervous about the running backs in this one. I'm willing to start Dowdle as like an RB3, like mid-range RB3. He has been decent the last couple of weeks. I just don't know I don't think the ceiling's very high with him. He feels more like a flex option to me. Ferguson, I got him as my tight end 8. It's an okay matchup. It's nothing too difficult, nothing too easy. It's probably just for me. It's Lamb, maybe Dak, probably Ferguson, but I don't know. Dowdle just depends on your roster. In shallower leagues, I'm probably not starting Dowdle.
I agree. Niners side of the ball. It sucks. You're starting Jordan Mason. What receiver are you willing to start for the 49ers?
I mean, is Juwan Jennings playing?
No.
None. Then I don't want to start. I've got, you know what? I don't know why. I got Brock Purdy ranked too high. I've got him as a back-end QB1. I know I had moved him down a little bit, but apparently not far enough. I just don't love the weapons. I think Kittle could have a game. I still think they'll be able to run the ball, so I think Jordan Mason will be decent in this one. I would still rank him as an RB1. Kittle, just, but the receivers, I'm nervous about them.
Ricky Pearsall, maybe. Jacob Cowing, if you want to get filthy with it and throw a complete long shot out there. But yeah, I'm not excited to play any of the... Ricky Pearsall is an okay long shot.
I'm sorry, but did he just get grazed by a bullet?
I think it was shot in the chest, but in the spot where there wasn't anything vital, but he still got shot.
I must be built differently. I know I am. I feel like if I got shot, I'd be out for the year. But then we got a couple years ago, Brian Robinson gets shot and he only misses 4 games. He got shot multiple times too. And then we got Pearsall getting shot what, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, and now he's playing. Like, it's just amazing to me. These guys are insane. Yeah. Anyway, Mason, maybe Purdy, definitely Kittle. That's about it for me.
AJ, last one. I might rather get shot than watch this one on Monday Night Football. What do we got?
What do you
come
mean? We
on.
have the Monday night matchup everybody's looking forward to. We have the Giants taking on the Steelers. The Steelers are favored by 6. We have a whopping over-under at 36.5. Pittsburgh is just one of 2 teams left this season that has not played a divisional matchup, the other being the Bears. And their first divisional matchup doesn't come till week 11 against the Ravens.
Oh, weird. They're just like going to hit the entire division that last couple of weeks of the season. Jeez. All right. Well, Andrew, I know how much you hate Russell Wilson from the last podcast we talked on, but are you willing to start him? This Giants defense is actually pretty decent.
No, I'm not starting Russell Wilson. It's going to have to be real desperate to start Russell Wilson.
I think in good matchups, he's definitely startable. I did have somebody ask me, though, this week. They said they had Jaden Daniels. They said, is it too risky to trade Jaden Daniels for like a good running back or a good wide receiver and just roll with Wilson rest of the season? And I said, that's too risky.
That's insane.
I was like, I love the schedule for Russell Wilson moving forward, but that's taking it too far.
That's insanity.
Yeah. So I'm with you. I don't think I'm ready to start Russell Wilson this week. I think I don't know. I kind of want to wait and see. The Giants defense is actually not that bad. George Pickens, though, that guy he's like a magnet, dude. Everything that gets thrown to him. So I'm fine starting George Pickens in this one. Najee Harris, they are favored by 6.5. So I think Najee, he's looked better the past couple of weeks. His yards per carrier up. I mean, it takes still a ton of volume for him to get it done. And he really pissed me off this week because he scored a touchdown. I had him as a sit. He scored a touchdown with I think it was 30 seconds left in the game. So he made me look bad. But I think he could have a decent one in this one. Jaylen Warren, though, I'm not ready to start him. He looks good, but he just doesn't get enough work. So and then Freiermuth, not a great matchup for him. Giants giving up the 7th fewest fantasy points to tight end position. So for me, it's Najee and George Pickens.
I agree. Najee Harris is going to be a good play in every game that the Steelers are going to be competitive in or win.
Yeah. And then New York, it's Malik Neighbors. Is that all we need to talk about?
I really want to start Tyrone Tracy or Devin Singletary, but we're going to have to see how it plays out as both heal up. But yeah, it's only Malik Neighbors. I'm not willing to start Daniel Jones.
No, I'm not either. Tough matchup. They looked really good against the Jets last week. So I think that the Jets have a better offense than the Giants. Malik Neighbors just because he's a stud. What about Wan'Dale Robinson in the PPR league? You willing to give him a go?
You can. He's got some of the most targets in the NFL. So yeah, you can start him. Just know you're getting 10 points, not 11.
Yeah. And I think, that's about it.
We did it, gentlemen. That is all the games, all the matchups, ending off with an absolute nail biter. I'm sure it will be somehow. But thank you for tuning in for the Fantasy Guides podcast. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button below, rate, review, share with the podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please keep sharing it. That's the best thing you guys can do for us. Go to fantasyguides.com. Get you a season guide for less than a large pizza. It's well worth your time. Follow the page on Instagram, X, TikTok, everywhere at Fantasy Guides. You can find us on socials. I'm Andrew Toysher. That's AJ Cleaver. That's Stephen Rippey. Say goodbye to the friends at home, gentlemen.
Bye, guys. Good luck this week.